belt. Let's sit back into our chair. And even though we're sitting back into our chair, we are engaging through those core muscles. The more that we can engage, especially through the frontal abdominals, the less taxing we have on the lower back. So sit back into your chair. And then let's take the scarf or your belt around the thigh, so above the knee and above the knees. I'm going to separate my feet a little bit wider than the hips, and then I'm just going to make a very loose knot so that the loop does not widen. All right, so I have my loop here. I'm pressing my back into the chair. Hands can be on the bottom of the chair for a little additional support if you need. And then let's start to straighten the legs and draw the legs together. And so for this one, we're working on those muscles on the outer and the inner legs. Let's keep those toes pointing up the whole time. And then I'm going to slowly separate my legs into a V shape until I feel just a little bit of resistance from your scarf or your belt. You're not trying to rip it apart. We just want to feel that little resistance. And we're going to hold here for just a few more seconds. So you'll feel the work of the thighs, the outer legs as they try to separate. We're engaging through the core. We're breathing here, but we're still trying to stay relaxed, especially in the upper half of the body. Notice if you're gripping really hard with your hands. Let's draw those feet back together and feel that little squeeze. I'm going to move my knot over to the side. So feel the squeeze of the inner thighs. It's very gentle pressure, but enough where you feel some work happening. I'm already feeling some shakes here. So hopefully you are feeling that the work of those legs, and then go ahead and release down. That was one. We're going to do a few more. Engaging through the lower belly region. So find that bracing work. Find a nice deep way, smooth way of breathing. So make sure you're not holding your breath. Also notice if your breath has become shallow, try to deepen it as best as you can. Let's straighten the legs, engage through the lower belly, the core, and then let's separate the feet into that V shape until you find some resistance and hold here and breathe here. So it's nice to kind of mix up your strength routine, especially your strength routine with your body, because if our bodies sometimes get used to doing the same motions, then we lose some of that benefit. So it's good to mix it up for the variety, and so you stay interested in the exercises. A few more seconds here. Ooh, you can even, I like to feel where the muscles are working. Let's draw those feet and the legs back together. If you can lift the legs a little bit higher off the chair, go ahead and do so. But if that feels like it's too much, then just keep those legs settled down into the chair. Squeeze those inner legs. Make sure you're not locking out in the knees or any joints. And then go ahead and release. Whew, shake it out. So these longer holds are good for building strength and endurance as well. Let's do one more time. Straighten the legs, lift the toes. Start to separate the legs until you find a little resistance, and then hold here. And we still have that constant kind of separating of the legs. So you do feel the work happening in those outer legs, and breathing. Focusing. Sometimes it's helpful to steady your gaze on a single point. Maybe it's your own body, or maybe it's a point out in front. Whew. And then draw those legs together. Feel the squeeze of the inner legs, the inner thighs. I'm smiling, but my body's shaking and working hard. And then go ahead and release and shake it out. Okay. So our second exercise are leg flutters. So let's take our belt or our scarf. We'll draw the inner thighs together, and I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit. So the legs are together, and then I'm going to put that loose knot, or if you have a belt, put it on a loose buckle. And then I'm going to draw the legs forward, and I'm going to flutter. So I'm going to lift one leg and lower the other, and then over to the other side, just until you feel a little bit of resistance. And remember, at any time, if you need to tighten up the knot, you can. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit, just to get a little bit more resistance. Whew. Engage through the belly, but only do what is safe and comfortable for your body. So if you do find that it's too much to keep both legs lifted, you can release one foot down at a time. So that's a nice option as well. You're still getting some good leg strength. And we're thinking mostly of the thighs and the hip flexors. Don't forget to engage through the core muscles. We're not going to do any long holds this one. We're just going to flutter up and down. And then also notice if you're starting to twist. So really brace through that core so that you can keep the spine steady and stable. And then go ahead and release. Whew. And if it feels good to kind of wiggle it out or get a little twist, you can. Whew, that's a lot of work. All right, I'm going to loosen up my knot just a tad. Let's sit off of the back of our chair. So we're sitting nice and tall with that good posture. Remember, with the good posture, engage through the core muscles, shoulders drop back and down, head over the tailbone. I'm going to keep my feet together, but I'm going to start to separate my knees to about hip bone distance, and then I'm going to tie my knot or have your belt loop at that distance. And then I'm going to lift the heels. So my toes are down, my heels are lifted, and these are our butterfly flutters. Another good one for working those outer leg muscles, which sometimes get neglected since our lives are so much forward and back. So we're going to put some extra attention there. So we'll separate the knees as wide as is comfortable where you feel some resistance, and then go ahead, I'm going to move my knot and draw the legs, the inner legs together. So we're opening up, or separating the legs, and then closing. And so we're going to just pulse through this, find that little squeeze. When you draw the legs together, find that little squeeze of the inner thighs. So not doing a long hold on this one. Just getting some good movement in. Remember, make sure the joints are happy. So feel free to modify, back off, or even skip if they become unhappy. Still sitting up tall, so lots of work for the upper half of the body as well. Those core muscles, the shoulders drawing back and down, head pulled back over the tailbone. Let's do one more. And then go ahead and relax. Lean it back into your chair. And then for our last exercise, we will be taking the belt or the scarf to the ankles. So I'm going to undo my knot. I'm going to separate my feet about hip bone distance apart or a little bit narrower. And then I'm going to tie my scarf, or you can have your belt loop. And then let's try to keep those knees from coming together. So find that the knees are about the same distance apart as the ankles. Lean it back. Brace through the core. Hands can be on the seat of the chair for support. Really engage to the lower belly, and let's straighten the legs forward. And I'm going to draw one leg. I'm going to cross it as far as is comfortable on top and cross it over the other. And then without drawing the feet together. So find that resistance with the scarf or the belt the whole time. So it's as if we're trying to separate those legs as far apart from each other as possible as we cross, kind of crisscross back and forth. It's a little challenging to talk and do this at the same time. And you can keep the legs a little bit lower if you need to, or you can straighten them forward. So find what works best for your body. Lots of good work, inner legs, top of the thighs, outer legs work. Even the back of the legs get a little bit of work here. All right. And then go ahead, release it down. Massage it out if you need to. Remove your belt or your scarf. All right.